Shocking revelation, your divine journey begins now. God's message for you today. In a sleepy town painted with whispers and shadows, something unimaginable was unfolding. A figure cloaked in mystery, known only as the messenger, had appeared. Under the eerie glow of the harvest moon, townsfolk began to speak of visions of stirring apparitions that beckoned them into the unseen realm. Strange symbols etched in the sky made only for the daring eyes to decipher, left chills dancing down spines. People claimed they could feel the thrum of the universe and energy pulsating beneath their skin, urging them to pay attention. Children spoke of dreams where they soared through celestial colors, only to wake, breathless, in the middle of the night. An older woman, once the heart of the community, now roamed the streets with wild eyes, her voice a chorus of fragmented tales about the cosmic messages she received. And nearby, a once dying cafe filled with the smell of fresh coffee suddenly brimmed with mystical conversations about fate, as patrons shared wild stories of their plans to find spiritual truths that had slipped through the cracks of mundane life. But what disturbed the very air was the feeling that every moment was charged with urgency. A murmur spread like wildfire, igniting hearts, a prophecy like none other was imminent. Some felt a tightness in their chests, while others spoke in hushed tones, eager to connect the dots. Little do they know, the lines separating reality from illusion were fading, and with them, the fabric of their lives. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Rising tides of anticipation built as the townsfolk gathered under a canopy of shimmering stars. They felt at the tug of something fantastic about to unfold. What would the messenger reveal? The air thickened with an unspoken question, as if the universe itself was leaning in to listen. Secrets long buried threatened to claw their way to the surface. And as a sudden hush swept through the crowd, a rumble erupted in the distance. A figure loomed near, and everyone held their breath, hearts pounding. What came next would ignite a series of events that could change everything. As the ominous figure approached, gasps erupted like a gunshot through the tense crowd. The messenger, draped in dark fabric that fluttered with the soft breeze, stepped into the flickering light of the lanterns. A sharp glint in their eyes hinted at knowledge that could shatter everything the townsfolk held dear. People of this land. The voice boomed, both comforting and terrifying. You have been chosen for something greater. The veil between worlds is thin, and the signs are upon us. An electric charge shot through the air, leaving a sense of urgency hanging like a thick fog. Murmurs of confusion rippled through the gathered crowd. Was it a warning? A call to adventure? The winds of fate stirred, blowing their lives into chaos. Suddenly, without warning, a figure broke free from the throng, stumbling forward. It was the older woman, her hair wild, eyes wide with madness. I know. I can see it. She screeched, her voice slicing through the night. The darkness will consume us all. The signs in the sky, they are not just messages but a map leading to our doom. A woman in the front row clutched her chest, rationalizing. This is just a trick. She's not well. But even she felt the goosebumps rising against her skin. Something in the air felt wrong, charged, unstable. The messenger stood tall, unflinching. The prophetic words she speaks are not mere ravings. They are a warning. They waved their hand, and to everyone's shock, the sky crackled with sudden violet lightning, painting the deep navy canvas above with stark, unsettling patterns. It was as though the universe was reacting, emphasizing the urgency of the moment. Cries of fear swept through the crowd. Hearts raced, minds whirled. People pressed closer together, but the reality of the situation drew them apart, a magnetic separation fueled by dread. Instinctively, they understood, something sacred and sinister was awakening. As the tremors of uncertainty engulfed them, the ground beneath their feet rumbled, leaving them teetering on panic. Just then, an enormous shadow fell across the gathering, and all eyes turned skyward. The harvest moon seemed to swell, casting an eerie light, the very essence of fear and hope intertwined. "I must guide you," the messenger proclaimed, moving fluidly. "But the choice is yours. Will you heed the call of destiny? Or will you allow the darkness to consume this town, this life?" "Something is coming," the older woman shrieked. "Beneath the surface, the unknown is stirring." Silence fell, thick and suffocating. The crowd became a living tableau of shock and resolve. A question swirled through each mind, louder than the thunder in the distance. What were they willing to sacrifice for the truth? The tension peaked, drawing a collective intake of breath from the townsfolk. Some stepped forward, while others hesitated, hearts caught in the reflection of their own fears. A notion began to build, a collective thread tying their fates together. Then it happened. A blinding flash of light erupted from the messenger's hands, illuminating the entire gathering. When the light faded, stunned faces glimmered with disbelief and bewildered realization. The messenger's voice boomed again, quieter now, "Your journey is about to begin. Are you ready to face the unknown?" As they stepped back, something shrouded in darkness behind the messenger began to shift, a form rising from the ground, twisting energy and shadows together as it revealed its true shape. Hearts raced in a hurried rhythm, and an undeniable sensation of danger lingered in the air. What power was unleashed? What confrontation awaited? The townsfolk felt the grip of fate tighten around them, yet they stood transfixed, caught in the moment. Could they really turn back now? A chilling whisper crossed the night, echoing through every heart, planting a single, dreadful thought: this was only the beginning. The figure unfurling from the shadows grew ever more defined, a twisted semblance of something simultaneously human and monstrous. A gasp rippled through the crowd as they caught sight of its elongated limbs and contorted face, eyes burning like coals in the dim light. It was no illusion, it was raw, terrifying reality. "What is that?" someone cried out, their voice trembling. "What have you unleashed?" Panic erupted, and the crowd surged back like a tide recoiling from the shore, faces etched with fear. Chains of hope now felt like shackles, binding them to a fate they had yet to comprehend. The messenger held their ground, undeterred. "This is the reflection," they intoned with otherworldly calm. "A manifestation of your hidden fears. Your darkest truths illuminated." A young man took a tentative step forward, driven by some unquenchable thirst for the truth. "Are we meant to fight it? Is that why we're gathered here?" His voice wavered but carried the weight of the crowd's anxiety. "Fight?" echoed the older woman, her wild eyes sparkling. "You can't fight what you fear. You must understand it. Accept it." As if in response, the reflection articulated a guttural sound, deep and resonating, reverberating in the very bones of the townsfolk. It spoke, not with words but with echoes, a cacophony of their own doubts twisting around them. "Who are you to decide?" the figure parroted mockingly, gesturing. "What do you know of sacrifice? Of destiny?" A chill swept through the crowd, like ice water pouring over heated skin. Each dragged breath felt weighted with implications. Was this entity a foe, or was it merely a mirror holding up what lay hidden within their hearts? "Do you think your mundane lives allow you to evade the truths that loom over you?" the reflection taunted, a cruel twist curling its lips. "That you can reign over darkness without understanding it? Shut up!" Someone shouted defiantly, but their voice trembled, the fight in them faltering. "Turn away from the reflection if you dare," it continued, relentless and sharp, "but no, it is you who must confront the shadows within." A few from the crowd trembled on the brink of surrender. "I can't do this," a woman cried, clutching her partner's arm. "I don't want to face my fears." The messenger stepped forward, illuminating the tense air between the two forces. "It's not just about fear. It's about strength. What you face tonight will shape what you become. Look at yourselves, brave ones. You might just unveil something remarkable. With that, a rippling energy began to cascade from the messenger, bathing the crowd in shimmering light. The reflection shrank slightly, shrinking under the weight of their resolve, but it lingered, taunting and challenging. What are you willing to give up? It called out, its gravelly tone echoing ominously. What hidden truths will you sacrifice for growth? Bravery surged anew within some as a fire ignited in their eyes. They stepped closer, ready to confront the bitter truths they long evaded. Others backed away, overwhelmed by their truths unraveling around them. Then, without warning, the reflection lunged forward, blending shadows with blinding light in a chaotic convolution. The air thickened, and screams pierced through the night. What will you choose? The messenger demanded again, urgency spiking in their voice. Will you face the chaos or retreat into darkness? The ground quaked beneath them, and a terrible crack split the earth open nearby, deep and endless. The choice hung, dangerously weighted, shimmering like the stars in the sky above them. And in that moment, a greater question took hold: could they unite against their shadows, or would fear splinter them apart? With gasping breaths, the townsfolk felt the breath of destiny on their skin, clamoring for action. But could they summon the courage? The echoes of their hearts raced, knowing the answer was just out of reach, yet dangerously close. What awaited them if they dove into the darkness? They had to decide. Would they stand together or fall apart? The time was slipping away. The reflection surged forward, a terrifying mass of writhing shadows blending into a haunting visage. Its scream sent a shockwave through the crowd, a visceral crack in their hearts. They stumbled back, eyes wide, desperately trying to block out the chaos that centered on the messenger and the dark entity. Face it. The messenger shouted, their voice a beacon in the storm of fear. The truth is a powerful ally, but only if you dare to embrace it. A heavy silence draped over the crowd, suffocating and thick. Huddled together, they exchanged hopeless glances, each one wrestling with their own inner turmoil. Those who had stepped forward began to hesitate, the flickering flames of courage threatening to extinguish. Then, abruptly, a voice broke through the stillness. A fierce woman stepped ahead, her heart pounding but her resolve steady. I won't let fear dictate my life. She called, eyes blazing. I choose to confront what I've hidden. The reflection paused, as if it recognized her defiance. Brave words, it hissed, its twisted face contorting with malice. But bravery is built on the ashes of your own doubts. What lies behind that facade you call courage? A palpable tension vibrated in the air as the townsfolk watched her, uncertain. How could she claim courage when her truth loomed like a terrifying specter? Wasn't it just another illusion? Behind every shadow lies a truth, she whispered to herself, steadying her breath. I will not be defined by what frightens me. With that declaration, the shimmering energy from the messenger surged, coiling around her in scintillating arcs. There was a shift in the atmosphere, a warmth that began to seep into the cracks of fear dividing the crowd. Join her. The messenger urged, gesturing toward the woman. You all have the power within you. Each of you stands at a precipice. Take the leap. Several faces began to turn toward one another, embers of courage igniting. I have my own truth, a man admitted softly, stepping forward beside the woman. His voice trembled, but he spoke nonetheless. My past haunts me. I've been running from it. But not anymore. A murmur swelled, rolling through the crowd like a wave. Another friend nodded, then another. We're not alone. We can't be alone in this. A chorus of reluctant agreements and whispered affirmations began to rise. The reflection recoiled, its features shifting, as if it fed off their uncertainty. You believe in unity over fear? In false hopes of strength? You're nothing but a fragile assembly of mistakes. It bellowed, throwing its head back in a laugh that echoed like nails on a chalkboard. You will fall. But in that moment, the old woman stepped forward too, her voice cutting clear through the tumult. And if we do, we will rise again. Many took her cue, emboldened by the resolve spreading like wildfire, each unique truth laid bare before one another. Sparks flew as they began to shine in their vulnerability, illuminating the darkness. The ground trembled harder, the crack widening as tendrils of shadow pulled at their feet. The reflection writhed, frustrated by the power they were discovering within themselves. "Will you fight or flee?" it challenged, but there was no fear left in their eyes now. "We will stand," they yelled, voices swelling into a unified roar that collided with the darkness. As the crowd surged towards the edge of the chasm, light cascaded down, holding the darkness at bay. They were closer now, standing on the threshold of either salvation or demise. But just as they seemed to grasp hold of hope, the reflection let out another deafening roar. "You won't escape me. I will drag you back into your fears." Glimmers of light began to flicker, some members of the group faltering under the pressure. "Stay strong," someone cried out, clinging to resolve. But was it strong enough? Would they be able to unite as one against the chaos closing in? As shadows wreathed closer and familiarity twisted into peril, an agonizing question echoed in their minds: what price would they pay to fully embrace their truths? With hearts pounding like war drums, the very fabric of their courage rippled. This moment felt eternal, a dizzying precipice between despair and the shimmering hope of a dawn waiting just beyond the horizon. Would they shatter apart or unleash their hidden light? The stakes had never been higher. The ground quaked, vibrating with an urgency that matched the frantic rhythm of their hearts. Around the crowd, shadows twisted and contorted, each one seeking to ensnare the light flickering with fragile hope. The reflection loomed, a pulsating mass of darkness, its malevolent gaze locking onto each person, probing for cracks in their newfound courage. "Do you think this meager light can hold me back?" it hissed, the voice dripping with disdain. "Your truths are mere flickers in a vast ocean of shadows. You are nothing and will remain nothing." Yet, in spite of its taunts, something profound shifted in the hearts clustered together on the brink of night. Amongst them, the fierce woman's voice rang out, stronger than the reflection's bellow. "No. We will not be reduced to mere mistakes," she shouted, igniting a fire that screamed of resilience. As if responding to her proclamation, the vibrations of light intensified, casting away flickers of fear. Each soul around the chasm began to draw upon their truth, stories long buried, regrets that had chained them, and dreams that had turned to distant memories. "We are not just our burdens," shouted the man beside her, nodding toward others to share their weight. "This is our moment to be free." The reflection recoiled, as if struck by a physical force. Its shape began to distort, flashes of colors erupting from its body as the crowd's resolve pressed against it. "You think you can shake me? You think your unity is more powerful than the darkness inside you?" it retorted, struggling to maintain its form amidst the growing light, but the townsfolk pressed on. A woman, trembling but determined, stepped into the fray. "I've lost everything to my fear. I refuse to see the truth of my worth. But together, we'll shine." The air shimmered with her declaration, each word lending to a collective force building against the reflection. The chasm pulsed with energy, the light pushing against the very fabric of despair. Just as the darkness seemed to ripple beneath the weight of their hope, the reflection unleashed another howl, attempting to siphon the light back into despair. "You are fools. I will strip you bare and expose your lies. You cannot escape me." With a collective breath, the group clutched their hands, binding their truths together. The light burst forth as a tidal wave, enveloping not just them but the air around them. It was a vibrant force, a surge of every tear shed and every smile lost, focused into one brilliant moment of clarity. The reflection thrashed violently, its form becoming erratic and wild. In that blinding brilliance, memories flashed, fragmented images of fear, rejection, love, and loss. The realization hit them collectively: their pain was not a burden but a part of their shared journey. It connected them in symphonies of sorrow and strength, but just when salvation seemed within reach, the shadows lunged, curling ominously around the edges of their vibrant light. "Embrace me!" the reflection howled, "You are nothing without me. The crowd faltered, doubts creeping in, their confidence wavering. A few pulled back, eyes glazed over with uncertainty. What if it's right? A voice trembled. What if we can't hold our truths? Push through! Shouted the old woman, eyes filled with relentless fire. Remember your strength. Remember what we've sacrificed. We are mighty together. Her words ignited the wavering hearts once more, illuminating their intent. The radiance intensified, pressing against the entangling shadows, and suddenly, a fissure of truth erupted, tearing through the darkness with blinding clarity. But would this burst of light be enough? As the shadows roared in protest, the battle reached a fever pitch. Would the reflection consume them, or would they shatter its grip for good? As the ground quaked beneath them, one chilling question screamed above the chaos: could they truly triumph, or was the reflection hiding a terrifying secret that could tear them apart from within? A silence fell over the crowd as the light swelled around them, pulsating with an electric intensity. They could feel the warmth, the surge of collective hope, but shadows still clawed at their ankles, promising despair. The reflection twisted, its form becoming an abhorrent silhouette against the brightening dawn. Fools! You think you have the power to define yourselves? Let me show you the truth. With a guttural roar, the darkness surged forward, lunging into the hearts of the vulnerable, seeking to unearth their deepest fears, their darkest memories. A piercing scream sliced through the air as a young man stumbled back, clutching his head. Stop! I don't want to remember! He cried, his voice breaking with anguish. The shadows surged, weaving his past failures and pain into a tapestry of dread. It wrapped around him, pulling him into the darkness where rejection and loss thrived. No! The fierce woman shouted, her voice reaching out like a lifeline. Don't let it take you. Remember who you are. She stepped towards him, channeling the brilliance that buzzed through the gathered souls. One by one, they extended their hands, creating a tether of light between them all. With each grasp, the invasive darkness recoiled, yet it lashed out at the others. Faces twisted in terror as memories flooded back, voices of doubt echoing in their ears, specters of past mistakes dancing in the flickering shadows. The paralyzing weight of self-loathing threatened to ensnare them all, but then, another voice broke through. I am not my past. I will not let these shadows take me. A woman, trembling yet fierce, stepped beneath the shimmering tapestry of light. Her courage became a beacon, igniting the hearts of those around her. As the gaps closed and the people pressed forward, the light pulsated with an urgency that swelled inside them. Together. They echoed, their voices rising into a crescendo, drowning out the reflection's cries of anguish. Each member of the crowd found their voice, shouting through the darkness. I am worthy. I have love to give. I will rise again. Their declarations echoed like thunder, and for a moment, the shadows seemed to flicker, pushed back by their unity. Yet the reflection bared its teeth, a swirling mass of rage. Foolish beings! You know nothing of your true potential. I will tear you apart, piece by piece. The woman at the forefront staggered, the weight of the darkness pressing down on her like lead. Keep pushing. Don't let it win. She urged, planting her feet firmly, refusing to yield. Her eyes burned with determination, fierce against the inky tendrils reaching towards her. Suddenly, a violent pulse erupted throughout the chasm, a violent burst of energy that threatened to engulf them all. Shadows and light clashed, creating a chaotic whirlpool of emotion and fear. The air crackled with tension, and the ground rumbled deeply, every soul teetering on a knife edge of hope and despair. Caught in the tempest, they felt a strange unraveling, a slithering sense of doubt creeping back in. The reflection whispered once more, darker and more alluring. You think your memories cannot bind you? I will bring you to your knees, for you are already broken. You are nothing without me. A gasp swept through the crowd. Had the reflection found a chink in their shining armor? In this light, we are whole. The fierce woman screamed, gripping the hands of her companions tighter. But was it enough? As momentary doubt flickered in their hearts, the reflection gathered its power, ready to unleash its might. What lay ahead? Would the bonds of their truths hold against the weight of their darkest fears, or would the shadows swallow them whole? Beneath the chaos, a deeper truth began to pulse within their hearts. Were they truly ready to confront what the reflection would reveal next? The ground shook beneath their feet, a warning they couldn't ignore. The air crackled with potent energy, and the crowd could feel the malevolence of the reflection almost physically, as if it had taken hold of their throats. Tension clawed through the assembled souls like shards of glass. Focus. Do not let it in. The fierce woman yelled again, fighting to stay grounded. Her grip tightened on the trembling young man, who was still recoiling from the grip of his agonizing memories. A deep growl emanated from the reflection as it drew nearer, shadows swirling like a storm. You think this light will save you? You are but faint flickers in an abyss that thrives on despair. Each word dripped with venom, slicing through their collective defenses. With every heartbeat, the darkness pressed forward, more determined, more invasive. Memories clawed at the edges of their minds, suffocating whispers urging them to remember moments of failure, times when they were cast aside, the sorrow of loved ones lost. A woman shrieked as her worst fears took form, shapeless to others but clear and vivid to her. The reflection of a past lover abandoning her played like a twisted slideshow, reigniting pain she thought she had buried. I can't. I can't. She gasped, stumbling back. The light from the group flickered, threatening to go out like a candle in the wind. Fight back. Remember your worth. Shouted the fierce woman, but doubt seeped into her own heart too. Was she truly strong enough to hold this fragile bond? Then, from the rear of the crowd, a voice rose, shaking everyone from their shackles of despair. We've all faced darkness. We stand here because we are stronger together. An elder man, his voice steady like a mountain against the storm, stepped forward, bolstering the struggling unity. Every scar tells a story of survival. We are not defined by our pain. The others felt a surge of hope, breathing life into the moment. One by one, they joined him, their unified voices weaving a powerful symphony of defiance against the encroaching darkness. I survived that betrayal. I hold my story close. The past does not control me. The reflection writhed, furious. Pathetic. You cling to mere words. Those ghosts will rise again. Its voice boomed, a tempestuous rumble shaking their very souls. For the first time, hesitation gripped the fierce woman. What if the reflection was right? Hadn't they all battled shadows before? Was this not an ever-repeating cycle of pain? The thoughts danced cruelly in her mind, but just as easily as they emerged, she slammed them down. No. We will not be divided. She roared, pulling the crowd together. She felt their energy surge, a wave of unity that ignited the space around them. The light brightened, the darkness pushed back further, like ice melting under the burn of the sun. But then, something unexpected happened. A rift tore through the air with a sickening sound, as if reality itself were buckling. All eyes widened in terror as a new figure emerged from the darkness, luminous yet shadowed, reflecting all their fears yet shrouded in a glow they'd never seen. Do you dare face me? It intoned, voice melodic yet laced with danger. Only those who are willing to embrace their full selves can conquer me. A hush enveloped the group, and within that silence, the weight of choice hung heavily. Would they face this new challenger? Or would they let doubt creep back in? The fierce woman felt the air thicken, each breath mingling with uncertainty. What now? She whispered. Every heart beat wildly as they waited, the tension palpable. The moment lay before them, teetering on the edge of destiny, but what awaited them in that strange light? And despite their strength, they could not shake the creeping realization, had they truly grasped their worth, or was this just the beginning of a far darker journey? The light from the new figure illuminated the faces of the crowd, flickering like fragile candles in a storm. Whispers darted between them, spiraling quickly into panicked murmurs. Some stepped back, eyes wide with fear, while others breathed deep, seeking strength in the collective pulse of their uncertainty. What does it mean to embrace our full selves? A younger voice asked, trembling yet brave. The question echoed through the crowd like a pebble landing in still water, sending ripples of contemplation. The fierce woman, still holding the young man's arm, straightened. We have to confront what this reflection shows us. All of it, the good and the bad. We can't hide anymore. Her voice rang clear, yet doubt wove through her confidence like invisible threads. The figure shifted, shadows dancing along its body, every movement both terrifying and mesmerizing. Are you sure you wish to uncover what lies beneath your skin? Every sorrow you've buried, every regret, every loss. To accept those pieces is to unlock doors that perhaps should remain closed. The crowd flinched collectively, their faces shadowed by the weight of buried pain. A few nodded, eyes glistening with unshed tears. The woman could feel their resolve faltering. A deep breath would not be enough when faced with waves of dark memories that threatened to wash over them. Remember when, an elderly woman began, her voice quivering as she stepped forward, I lost my husband. I thought his absence would swallow me whole. But I found love again, not replacing, but evolving. Her statement hung in the air like the scent of rain before a storm. The new figure focused intently on her. Nostalgia has a way of crafting false sanctuaries. You think you can find comfort in what you once had, yet are you prepared to re-experience that pain and emerge reborn? The crowd shifted restlessly, grappling with the tension. They braced for what lay ahead, their hearts drumming a chaotic tempo. A young man yelled out, but we already survived those moments. We're here. We've fought. You think surviving is thriving? The figure responded, a smile playing at the corners of its lips, wickedly captivating. You breathe, but do you truly live? Embracing your full selves means confronting the most hurtful truths, it said, as darkness swirled around it like a living cloak. Show me. The fierce woman shouted, struggling against her own vulnerability. Show me what I need to face. The ground trembled again, a stark reminder of the power they faced. Light split through the air, forming pathways that glimmered and faded, beckoning to each individual, demanding they step into their past. A long-lost memory flickered in the woman's mind, the last words of her father before he walked away. Could she face that pain again? Could she step into that haunting memory, when she felt utterly abandoned? But in that momentary lapse of pondering, unity sparked back into life. Voices gathered rhythm, rallying their spirits, pulling from buried pain and transparent courage. They began to chant together, swaying as one, fading fear into a storm of strength. We are not defined by loss. We rise through suffering. Fear will not consume us. The luminous being watched with intrigue as the harmony echoed off the ground, lifting spirits and arms. The light from the group brightened and twisted, pushing beyond the darkness that threatened to overwhelm them, yet still, the figure hovered, flickering dangerously. Are you certain you wish to continue? You cannot go back once you begin this journey. The moment clung to them, suspense wrapping tighter than ever. The fierce woman turned towards the crowd, her heart racing. Do we stand together? Yes. She cried, vulnerability emerging in her eyes, mixed with determination. The energy surged between them, stronger now, memories rushing forward like an incoming tide. And then, in a flash like a lightning strike, the rift split open further, casting a glowing pathway into an unknown realm. Step through, if you dare, the figure beckoned, darkness dancing dangerously at its edges. With breaths held, they teetered on the brink of the rift, where shadows writhed and light flickered. Were they ready for what lay beyond that threshold? And, more importantly, would embracing their true selves lead to liberation or despair? The fierce woman took a hesitant step forward, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She felt the electric pull of the rift calling to her, but doubt crawled into her mind like a dark intruder. What if the memories they faced were too painful? What if the darkness consumed them completely? Together. We do this together. She shouted, her voice reverberating with raw urgency. The crowd seemed to surge forward, a tide of humanity pressing toward the edge of the glowing pathway. Then, one after another, they stepped through. The first was a middle-aged man with weary eyes, followed by the elderly woman whose story of love and loss still hung in the air. As they crossed into the rift, the light enveloped them, swirling like a storm around their bodies, illuminating their fears and frailties before turning solid again. A brilliant flash engulfed them, gasps erupted from the crowd as they saw the first signs of the other side. The man emerged, not as the worn figure they once knew, but younger, stronger, fear replaced by clarity in his eyes. "It's not what you think," he called back. "It's all of it. It's the truth." The next figure, the elderly woman, stepped out looking vibrant and more alive than she had in years. "You must face your deepest scars. They are beautiful in their own way," she encouraged, an energy radiating from her that seemed to fill the air with hope. Whispers of wonder amplified, but just as quickly turned to worry. The ground trembled again as the rift pulsed ominously, and the figure at the entrance let out a low, resonating laugh that sent shivers through the crowd. "A beautiful sight, isn't it? Transformation is enchanting yet so very deceptive." The fierce woman felt her resolve wavering. What if this was a trick? What if they lost themselves in the yearning for better versions of themselves? "What lies within us?" she breathed, uncertainty ripping through her. "Nothing more than the remnants of what you've buried." The figure crooned, emerging from the shadows now, sharper and more distinct, its eyes glittering with malicious glee. "The real question is, are you ready to confront those remnants? Or will you shrink back into who you were?" Fear stalked through the crowd again as they looked at one another, uncertainty writing lines across their faces. But then a younger woman broke the silence. "I refuse to go back to being numb. I want to be whole." She took a deep breath and stepped forward, crossing into the rift. In an instant, laughter erupted from her. It was genuine, it soared like music. "I can feel it," she shouted with joy, yet the echo mixed strangely with dread in the air. "Come with me. It's freeing." The rift seemed to pulsate with energy, beckoning others to follow, but the thrill also birthed doubt. Faces twisted in confusion. What were they giving up? The safety of the known? The fear of pain intertwined with the hope of liberation was all-consuming. "Do you feel the pull?" the fierce woman asked the crowd, feeling their collective anxiety take form. She stepped back from the edge, turning toward their faces, searching for unity. But the glow behind her seemed just as inviting. It was threatening, shadows melding with light in a terrifying dance. A voice from the back cried out, "What if we lose ourselves in there? What if we can't come back?" The crowd fell into heavy silence, each heartbeat resonating in the chilling air. The figure at the portal grinned grotesquely. With every passing moment, the light dimmed and darkened around them. "You face a choice: take a leap into unknown depths, or remain chained to the shadows of your past. It is your choice, after all." Just as the murmurings began again, the ground trembled. A sharp crack split through the air, and suddenly, a distant scream echoed from within the rift. "No! No, we can't!" the fierce woman cried, gripping her chest as panic clawed at her throat. "Now is the time. What will it be?" The figure's voice roared, rippling with twisted energy, and with that, hearts beat wildly, breaths quickened, and choices hung in a fragile balance. Would they step forward and challenge their darkest truths? Or would fear keep them shackled, never allowing them to discover their full selves? As the rift pulsed ominously, a single word echoed above all else: choose. But could they afford to? In that moment, standing on the precipice of their greatest test, they knew a storm was brewing inside and out, ready to unleash its fury. What awaited them on the other side was entirely unknown. The tension hung like a heavy fog over the crowd. Hearts pounding, breaths hitched, eyes wide with conflicting emotions as they stood at the edge of the rift. "We can't turn back now," the fierce woman repeated, emboldening herself as the bright light shimmered invitingly yet ominously before them. In that electrifying moment, an unspoken understanding flooded through the thrumming mass of humanity. We were stronger together. If they were to step forward, they would do so as one. Together. They shouted in unison, echoing their shared determination into the heavens. The air vibrated, charged with newfound hope and courage, slicing through the oppressive atmosphere that had shrouded them. One by one, hands found their way into the air, forming a web of connection. We've come too far to let fear control us. The fierce woman's voice exploded with conviction, and then a ripple of agreement bolstered by the acknowledgement of their trials. They would plunge into the unknown, face their truths, and reclaim their lives. Taking a deep breath, the woman locked her eyes with the young man beside her. "Are you ready?" she asked, buoyed by courage and flickering doubt. He nodded, determination etched across his features. "We're in this together." With that, they took the initial step into the glowing rift, the warm light enveloping them in an embrace that felt both comforting and unsettling. The moment they crossed the threshold, a surge of energy coursed through them. Memories came rushing back, shrouded in colors too vivid to ignore, moments of happiness mixed with despair. Each individual psyche collided with every shared memory, shapes of regret shining brightly while shades of grief lingered in corners, waiting to be confronted. "I can feel it," the young man exclaimed, a mixture of fear and elation pouring from him. Ahead, visions flickered, the memories they had buried, but rather than dragging them down, they felt like a cleansing storm. The fierce woman gasped as faces of loved ones passed by, intertwined with moments of joy and sorrow. "I never truly lost them," she murmured, understanding flashing in her eyes like a beacon. "They're all parts of who I am." A chorus arose from those who followed, the wave of connection growing stronger. They could feel the burdens lifting, and with each step deeper into the light, shadows receded, revealing more of their true selves. "I've been afraid to show who I really am," shouted a man, stepping boldly forward. "But every scar, every moment of failure has brought me to this place." Around him, a chorus of voices rose, echoing his truth. "I did not choose despair. I will not cower. My history does not define me." The figure of darkness loomed at the edge of the rift, but its power started to wane, flickering as the bright light emerged stronger. "You think this light will save you?" it hissed, but no longer did it hold power over them. It was simply a reflection of fear, nothing more. As the crowd continued to surge through the rift, it contorted and twisted, and in a blinding moment, they could feel it, the enormity of their own strength electrifying the air. Each vulnerable admission continued to chip away at shadows, untangling the very fabric of their trepidation. It was as if they were forging an unbreakable bond, a shimmering tapestry of resilience and growth. In one final push, the fierce woman stepped forward, heart racing at the thought of what awaited her on the other side. Clutching the young man's hand tightly, she faced the darkness one last time. "You don't own me. We're forging our destinies." And just like that, the shadows crumbled, falling away like dust in a vibrant light. The crowd emerged into an expanse of glimmering clarity, where the sun broke through what had once felt suffocating. Breezes wrapped around them, a promise of renewed beginnings, brightening their spirits. "I'm free!" the young man shouted, spread arms welcomed by the radiant warmth of the sun. Others followed, stepping forward, stretching wide their arms in embrace of the newfound hope that swirled around them, infusing strength and vitality into their hearts. As they gathered together, the rift behind them faded into nothingness. They turned toward one another, eyes shining with life's promise. "We did it," the fierce woman breathed, voice choked with emotion. "Yes. We faced the darkness." They shouted in joyous unison, embracing their truths that had stitched them together in ways they could hardly fathom. In one heartfelt farewell, they promised to carry this light from within them into their lives, facing each day as a tribe, no longer alone in their journeys. They understood that the path ahead would have its struggles, but strength intertwined with vulnerability formed a bond too powerful to break. This was the moment when shadows no longer had a hold, they felt free. As they walked towards the horizon, the vitality of life flowed through them, unshackled from the chains of fear, ready to explore what lay ahead. and as they disappeared into the sun-drenched landscape, the trees rustled softly, like an echo of their silent promise, a beautiful testament of courage and unity that would resonate for generations. Together, they could face any darkness and continue to shine bright. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss a moment of our next incredible journeys. Smash that like button now and show your support to keep the stories coming. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this epic conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear about this transformation. This is the moment to stand with us.